not what you think. For years, the world has been told one story, while the real truth was quietly hidden in the shadows. A secret project, a silent operation, known only by one name, Project Bluebeam. The hidden truth scientists never wanted the public to see. A plan so unbelievable that the moment you hear it, you won't look at the sky the same way again. Tonight, we pull back the curtain, we expose the lies, and we uncover the technology powerful enough to control the minds of millions. This is the truth behind Project Bluebeam, and once you hear it, there's no going back. Beneath the calm facade of our everyday world, beneath the glow of city lights and the gentle hum of ordinary life, there lies a question so unsettling, so deeply buried in the collective subconscious, that most people spend their whole lives pretending it doesn't exist. What if everything we see, everything we believe, every fear, every hope, every miracle, every catastrophe was never truly ours, but engineered, sculpted, and rehearsed by forces we were never allowed to recognize? The whisper that began decades ago, a rumor born in the shadows of Cold War paranoia and the quiet ticking of classified rooms, has grown into something far more disturbing, a theory called Project Bluebeam, a name that feels harmless until you begin to understand its implications. Picture a world drifting further into chaos, religions clashing, nations trembling, economies collapsing, people desperate for meaning. And imagine an invisible hand waiting patiently, almost lovingly, for humanity to reach that breaking point. The theory says that in this moment of global despair, when the world feels like a collapsing stage, a magnificent illusion will rise, powered by technology, so advanced it will feel supernatural, spiritual, divine. Now close your eyes just for a second, and imagine looking up at the sky one night and seeing something you were never prepared to witness. A massive glowing structure forming in the clouds. Not a UFO, exactly, not an angel, not a god, but something that perfectly fits the belief of whoever is watching. A Christian might see a radiant Christ descending with blinding light. A Muslim might witness a shimmering divine sign. A Hindu might see celestial forms unfolding, each person seeing what would move them most deeply. This idea, this emotionally targeted illusion, forms the terrifying heart of the blue beam theory. And it begins not with aliens, not with technology, but with emotion, with the fragile human need to believe in something greater, something comforting, something that answers our fears. Just imagine the world in that moment. People crying, falling to their knees, reaching toward the sky with trembling hands, families embracing, strangers rushing into the streets with overwhelmed faces, thinking the ultimate truth has finally arrived. And now imagine all of it being artificial, created by machines, satellites, and psychological manipulation on a scale so colossal it feels impossible, and yet eerily plausible. But this story doesn't begin with lasers or holograms. It begins with trust, or rather, the slow and deliberate breaking of trust. Think back. Every strange event, every sudden global crisis, every unexplained military project, every blurry video of unknown aircraft, every quick government denial, every secret base that became public too late. It is in these cracks that the theory finds its home. Project Bluebeam suggests that step by step, piece by piece, the world has been prepared, emotionally conditioned, to accept something extraordinary in the sky. Because when people feel alone, terrified, divided, or hopeless, they become easier to guide, easier to influence, easier to convince. Now picture the year when everything feels unstable, economic problems, rising tensions, climate disasters, social unrest. People everywhere scrolling through their screens, drowning in news, searching for something to cling to. And then suddenly one night, a loud rumble shakes the sky. People rush outside, phones raised, heartbeats racing. At first, they see nothing but clouds swirling in strange patterns. Then, without warning, a blinding column of blue light tears across the sky like a divine spear. Children scream. Adults freeze. Some begin to pray. Others begin to record. And above them, slowly, almost elegantly, forms begin to take shape. Figures, symbols, structures, something otherworldly yet suspiciously familiar. The air feels thicker, heavier, vibrating with a low-frequency hum that seems to crawl under the skin and whisper directly into the brain. A voice follows, not an audible one, but a sensation, a thought that doesn't feel like your own, echoing in the mind. People collapse in tears. Some laugh hysterically. Some whisper in disbelief. Some simply stare, unable to breathe. This is where the theory becomes even darker, because it suggests that the technology needed to influence the human mind, the human senses, has existed quietly behind locked doors for decades. Think of MKUltra, the real CIA mind control experiments, the ones proven and declassified long after they were denied. If such things were once hidden, what could exist now, in a world far more technologically advanced? The theory whispers that Project Blue Beam isn't just about holograms in the sky. It's about creating an emotional event so powerful, so overwhelming, that people willingly surrender their fear, their doubt, even their freedom, in exchange for the promise of order. Now imagine this continues for days. The sky becomes a stage, a living theater. Nations panic. Religious leaders fall silent. Governments scramble for explanations. News channels run non-stop coverage. The world chokes on confusion. Then, as if scripted, another layer unfolds. The appearance of an alien threat. Strange shapes appear on radar. Lights flash across the atmosphere. Military jets scramble. Rumors spread like wildfire. They're coming. People cling to each other, trembling, praying, begging for protection. And just when the fear reaches its peak, a global announcement appears, broadcast everywhere at once, translated perfectly into every language. A calm voice, human, soothing, almost parental, assures humanity that everything will be all right, that the chaos has been anticipated, that a new age is beginning, and that a single unified authority will guide the world toward peace. The voice promises protection, security, stability, harmony, a new world. And in that moment, exhausted and terrified, billions might accept it. Not because they understand it, not because they trust it, but because after witnessing the sky itself transform into a supernatural spectacle, who would dare question anything? Who would even have the strength? What if the events had been engineered precisely to break the collective spirit? What if the chaos itself was part of the story? This is where the theory becomes emotionally suffocating, because it doesn't just suggest manipulation of sight and sound. It suggests the manipulation of meaning, belief, hope, fear, everything that makes us human. Picture a mother holding her child under that glowing sky, whispering, "Don't be scared," even though she herself feels her soul trembling. Picture the old man who spent his whole life in faith, suddenly questioning everything he believed. Picture the young boy who stares upward with awe, not knowing whether he is witnessing a miracle or a trap. Picture yourself standing there, heart racing, unable to tell what is real anymore. This is the horror of Project Blue Beam, not death, not destruction, but psychological collapse. A world where reality becomes uncertain. A world where emotions become weapons. A world where belief itself becomes programmable. As days pass, the signs intensify. Strange sounds echo across cities, deep and haunting, like a choir of metallic voices humming from the atmosphere. Some people hear comforting messages. Others hear warnings. Others hear nothing. Scientists issue conflicting reports. Religious groups split apart. Governments argue. Social media burns with theories. Humanity is left trembling in confusion. And then, suddenly everything stops. The lights fade. The sky goes silent. The projections vanish. The world holds its breath. And in that fragile silence, one final broadcast appears. A new authority declaring global unity, global leadership, a single system meant to save humanity from further chaos. People cheer. People cry. People kneel. People protest. The world fractures. But one truth remains. The emotional impact is already complete. Once the human mind has been shaken at its core, once the sky itself has played with your soul, nothing feels certain anymore. Doubt becomes permanent. Fear becomes routine. And trust becomes impossible. The theory suggests that this final outcome, this psychological vulnerability, is the true goal. Not domination through force, but through belief, through awe, through fear, through spectacle, through the manipulation of our deepest emotions. Whether real or not, whether possible or not, whether planned or imagined, the idea of Project Blue Beam thrives because it preys on the most fragile part of humanity, the need for meaning in a chaotic world. And perhaps the darkest twist of all is this: if such a plan ever existed, the greatest weapon would not be technology, but our own hearts. Because, in the end, the theory doesn't say that illusions will control us. It says that our desire to believe will. And in that terrifying possibility lies the true power of Blue Beam, a world where the sky becomes a mirror, showing each of us not divine truth, but our own fears, our own hopes, our own desperation, all reflected back at us in a spectacle designed to reshape the fate of humanity forever.